Good evening, everybody, and welcome to another Evening with Delenn. Just want to apologize to everybody who had been seeing the little tabs go by with the announcement of next song. I just really can't seem to find something that suits my mood today. So I was trying everything from electronic dance music by Streamtunes through to some generic content creation stuff through to some lo-fi, and I am just not finding something that fits my mood today. Which is kind of frustrating, but can't win them all, you know? Let's try some Argo Fox, just see what we've got there. Better than kicking the pants, I guess. Still not quite what I'm thinking, so. It's like all too cozy. I don't know. Who knows?
Hello?
Whoa. Gave me a jump scare. Hey, Stormy, how you doing? Oh, whoops, that's not the view you want. Yeah, anything but that. So I was putzing around today, and we have finished the basic level of the wall.
Oh, hello there!
There is still a hole over here, because we need a gate to go in, and I'm saving that project for the weekend. Shouldn't be a big deal, but it's something to do for a little bit. What I'm working on today is we are cutting our way through the trees to connect up to this village, which I'm calling Fakewell, and then we're going to be just pathing back again. That's the major project for today. Good to see you. Good to see you, Fantastic Sherlock Fox. I did take a walk this afternoon. Didn't actually do much of anything. My kids got me back into Pokemon Go. So it was a very slow walk. We didn't get very far, do very much, but hey, it was a nice refreshing chance for some air. And my son wanted to come, my daughter did not. And so the response then was, well, if you don't want to come, then you're gonna get stuck with emptying the dish rack. And she did, so I'll give her some credit for that. But I mean, that was the easy cop-out job. Okay, I'm just checking. Yeah. So we've been chopping trees and such. I've got some random junk in here. Anything I care about? Not particularly. While I'm here, I'm just going to throw a bunch of stuff in the composter over here and see what we can get rid of. Because I have far too many things I'm not keeping. Sticks. Dirt's always good. Okay. There we go. That will keep me disorganized for a little while. Right? Right. Alright. Actually, I guess one of those while I'm here composter moments. Let's take that. Okay, fine. Do it this way. Alright, and then I can take all of those poppies and get rid of them while we're at it. Apples. I don't know if I want to do anything with those apples. It still feels more open now that I've moved the portal. It's kind of a good feeling. Alright. I hope you guys have been doing well. I haven't had a whole lot of chance to catch up with people since I got back on the ground from my family's trip to Ireland, but it's been a slice thus far. It's good to be home. Good to be home. I did a whole lot of nose down type of, I shouldn't say grindy stuff, that's not the proper way of referring to it. But I got a bunch of random odds and ends done. Okay, there we go. While we were away. Just a little bit of wall building, as you guys saw. The majority of that wall building came while we were in Ireland. But I spent a lot of time with family, so I chose to do that rather than... oh, come on. That was in the last place you look, isn't it? I chose to do that rather than spending a whole ton of time resorting my world. So thus far, the only thing that's happened in terms of visual changes you guys would notice to the stream in general is that couple of the emojis moved their way around. There's now a hype available for followers, and the old one has moved to a tier 1 only, so there's 2 hype sheeps in there. But my daughter drew me a new one today, so I thought that was pretty cool, and I'd get that little puppy installed, or not puppy, sheep installed, so we have a new hype sheep. That's a cute little one. Let me just see if I can grab it for you. Did it load? Did it load? Maybe? Twitch. Nope, doesn't seem to have loaded for me. That's okay. It may not have loaded for you guys. I put it in just before stream, so it's possible that it might not have actually. Oh, there it is. There it is. There we go. There's a cute little new one. And it no longer looks like a toque, which is great. I like that. Okay, so let's get back to pathing where we were. Where am I here? Oh, right. Oh, okay. I did need to derail, actually. This kind of sounds silly, but I do need to go do a tool repair run. Hello! How are you doing, James? Good day to you. That's probably easiest. Or as I've been seeing in some of the other streamers' discords, good mind, M-A-E-N to you. There we go. I don't have to pretend I understand what I just said. Good morning, afternoon, evening, and night. Yeah. This one in here, that one in there. Really? No. Come on. I was just trying to use it for repairs. What a rip. Alright, let's put this away. Take that one. Let's use that for repairs. It's not enchanted, so it shouldn't cost me 23 to do the repair. 17. Seriously? Yes? Oh. Right. You actually have to have those to be able to repair with it. Alright, so what we're going to do then is detour and take a quick run over to the Ender and get some repairs done, and then we'll come back and do some more pathing and such. But how have you been, James? I've been like completely out of the loop with people that are on the other side of the world from me, more or less. And just because I was 7 hours ahead of where I am now, so they would be just past midnight in Ireland and the UK and so on, and I went the wrong way. That's not where I want to be. Oh well. Let's fly. Map. Oh, wrong one. Nope, no, that's fine. I want D for Dragon Fortress. Okay, where did that go? Over there. This one. I don't know why I called it Dragon Fortress. I mean, that's probably the portal we used when we went and did some dragon fights. That's most likely what that's all about. What's this? Huh, I used to have a horse sitting there. Doing okay, just a bit bored. Oh, that stinks. Yeah, I'm sorry to hear that they've got a stuffed up nose, but I can kind of understand, particularly with all the bugs that have been going around the world for a while. Oh. Bobby upgrade. Fine. Okay. So what Bobby does that you're seeing in the corner there, squish, what Bobby does is basically it just takes a look at chunks that you're in and out of and stores a version of it. And then if you're in and out of the space repeatedly, it doesn't really need to do a whole load of reload. It just stores that information locally for me. So my side of the file gets pretty big, but it doesn't affect everybody else's. So that's kind of nice. It makes it feel like the world's a lot bigger than it really is. Or a lot more visible, I guess. Yeah, I'm sorry to hear the little guys there. So what does your little one do when he's at home with a stuffy nose? Does he have a favorite activity? I mean, I'm assuming I'm assuming picking on you is probably one of his favorite activities. Seems to be the case for my kids when they were home with stuffed noses. Okay, so someone's been here. And there's been more carpet troubles than just me. That's okay, we can deal with this. Because everything is full. Alright, so let's see if I can do this without actually, like, dropping things. Let's see if I can actually get... Let's see. Ender piece. Let's put this over here for now. Now what's this sword looking like? Don't lose me 3. Okay, we've got Smite, Sweeping Edge, Knockback, Mending, and Unbreaking. Smite, Sweeping Edge, Knockback, Mending, Unbreaking. So it's the same thing without the looting. Okay, I'll have to use this one because I really don't want the looting. It's just a pain. Excuse me. Replace the redstone dust you accidentally lost. Whoops! Asking for more food. He's a growing boy, right? I remember my mother telling me when my son was little, when he'd keep asking for more, and she'd say, "He's like a teenager. He'll eat you out of house and home." But as an almost teenager, my son does not, which is great. But every once in a while, it seems like it. And you get surprised every once in a while when they decide to eat as much as an adult. Okay, now I'm running around with a lot of these stupid things. Let's see if I can actually get something repaired rather than just standing here. Apparently I'm picking up a lot of XP and stuff is just wiggling away. Right in behind my head. Let's go G Willikers, and we'll swap with this one. There we go, a little bit better. So for a lot of those trees that we were working on earlier today, definitely need to get the hoe back in shape. It happens to be a fortune hoe, just because I haven't bothered to make one without it. It's the mending and unbreaking is the key, and I just happen to have fortune. And sometimes it's handy, because depending on the tree type I'm using it for, I do want extra saplings out of it. This morning we were discussing some of the adventures from Ireland, and our kids were pretty good. I mean, they discovered that depending on how it's cooked, they actually do like some forms of tofu, which was nice. It was very helpful to learn. But some stuff, to me, they seemed a little bit picky about. So I'm not too unhappy with how things turned out. We never did end up eating any sheep while we were over there, so that was to my relief and my daughter's relief, and frankly, I mean, I like lamb, but the house we were staying in doesn't eat much of it, and most of the people over there don't actually eat as much as the stereotype seems to suggest. Lamb or mutton or anything of that nature. But we did some stir fries and curries, and we never really did, you know, actually, I guess, let me correct that. We did Irish breakfast, so we did have a little bit of black sausage, I think it was, which the kids didn't particularly like, although by the time I ate mine, because I was a little bit late that morning, it was a bit crunchy, in which case I'm not too surprised they weren't huge fans. I mean, I wasn't a huge fan of it when it was all super crunchy. Do I have anything else that needs repairing? No, I think I'm good. Alright, so let's just back off into this corner for a second. Actually, any corner that does not... Okay, good. Somebody keeps remembering to replace the anvils, which I say thank you for, because it's such a mess when people don't. Okay. Now, see if we can do this. Oops. Let's not lose it. We put it away. Here we go. Pick up some mess. Mess. Any more mess? Oh, there's only 2 carpets there. Okay, that's probably why they're not installed, because there's only 2, not 3. Hey, oh, good to see you. Good to see you. Glad you're back. I like to see you. I missed everybody. That may sound weird, but I really did. So it's good to be home. Okay, so let's see if I can do this without making a horrible mess of things. And throwing out stuff I don't need to throw away. Did I actually get it right this time? Yay! And this horrible head that I left can go outside. I'll just run this one out and... Whoa! This line's getting long. I like it. Somebody started something, it just keeps growing and growing and growing. Which one? We're even, sort of. There. Like 60 meters now. That's pretty good length. Oh, there's a couple on the roof. Okay, so there's a few that are starting to find places to land. Everything turned... Good, okay, we're empty. Turn it off. Perfect. I'm out. Think. Let's see. Elytra's good. Gear is good. Okay, we're out. Nice. So yeah, we had some fun with it. The kids were trying a few things they didn't normally get to try. They discovered that butter is definitely not a thing that they like in their sandwiches. Very strongly so. I grew up with not often having butter sandwiches or butter in my sandwiches. Occasionally we would, but most of the time we didn't do that sort of thing. But it seems to be just an assumption in Ireland that all sandwiches must have butter and then you can put on whatever you want. Which, yeah, was not to our kids' taste. So that was one thing we learned, I guess. What else did we learn? That there are interesting references to people who think they're Irish, but they're not really accepted by the Irish. So yeah, there's blow-ins, which are people who've, in essence, moved there from other places. They've blown in, so to speak. Then there's also, some of them are referred to as they call them plastic Irish, I suppose. And those are the, I'm really curious. And those are the ones, oh okay, are the ones that supposedly have an Irish background, so they claim to be Irish, but they come back from elsewhere, but they're not really accepted as Irish in the same way that the plastic patties. Thank you, Fox. That's the one. So yeah. But then it's also, everybody loves their sports. We don't hear a whole ton about a lot of the sports across the way. Things like my kids had never heard of, and I had never heard of as well. Actually, I shouldn't say had not heard of. Had not in a long time. Talked about hurling. That's one that's not a... You don't hear about it over here. Of course, there's always, rugby. Everybody knows rugby. And they didn't talk about cricket while we were there, which is kind of nice. What else did we have? Let's go over Fakewell. There was some Irish football discussed, which is kind of weird. I don't really know how to explain it, but it's sort of like a weird rugby and American football thrown in one. But then, of course, there's football, the real stuff, the good stuff, aka association soccer, or soccer in North America, or association football, or soccer. Okay, this is where I was, so let's not get blown up. Let's not get destroyed around here. Be good stuff. All I really want to do is take the end of this, well, not there, end of this road, in essence, which is right here, and literally just head back that way. That's really all there is to it. because this, in the real area of Shrewsbury, to the west of Shrewsbury, just, I guess it would be more or less down this direction, down south of where things are, there would be a town that was called Frankwell that connected in to the Shrewsbury in the story series I was working with. But we got lucky and there's a village up here, so I figured, okay, well, that's my Frankwell. Complete with Gollum, apparently. I didn't realize that. And there's lots of little caves and things along the way here, so I'm watching out for some of those spots to trip me up. And really, we're just heading towards the DH for home, the correct one? Close enough. Close enough. If we shoot for DH for home, then we'll get connected with our gateway. Frankwell. So yes, this is fake Frankwell. That's a very good point. Very, very good point. Come on. So really, we're just starting to make our way back into the village. We've got town, I guess. I keep saying town, keep saying village. I'm really confused. We'll just fake it till you make it, right? So, I'm trying to figure out where we're going to go from here on this one. We have in our faux Shrewsbury, I guess? I don't know. We have enough people, that's not what I'm looking for, enough stuff going on that enough infrastructure that we can now start making some pathways realistic-ish, and then start building houses and such. So I'm going to, by the weekend, we'll have redeems for the stream weekend that we can use for getting me to build you a house, basically. I know it's been done before, but we need to have population in this village anyways, so we might as well work on the town gate that lets everybody in at the same time as we start building infrastructure in the town. Though the majority of the story supposedly takes place in the Abbey, that's not actually the case. The way the Shrewsbury Chronicles, sorry, the Cadfael Chronicles actually work is that Cadfael, the monk, 90% of the time is out doing stuff for other people and involving himself in mysteries, which some of the rules of his order generally would not have him be taking part in, but he finds lovely little excuses to do whatever it is he more or less wants to. So that part's not realistic in the slightest. But that said, he sometimes is told to just figure it out and deal with it, because not doing so ruins the image of the abbey, the monastery, so he just gets tasked with doing that sort of thing after all. And he's very good friends with the sheriff of the town, a Hugh Beringer in the books, and he gets more or less to do whatever he wants, because the sheriff holds a lot of sway when it comes to getting approvals or approvals pulled from the abbey to be able to do anything. Okay, we've got 1, 2, 3, and 5. Oh, 4. That works. 1, 2, 3. There we go. So we're gonna go 3 and 4, back and forth, sure. As long as we're headed in the direction we need. It'll adjust as necessary, right? Hello, cow. See roughly how that... Well, it's far too wide, but I'm okay with that because this would also be potentially used as like a cart track, so I don't mind it being a little bit wider coming in. I'll take out trees on our way. Trying to aim our way through, just point on through to the other side. Something like that, and not get destroyed. Fakewell, yes. Well, I wasn't actually planning on putting up a map, per se. But yeah, let's take what we're gonna do. Let's see, map. I was calling the end point. Oh, excuse me.
Two, 4, 6, 8. Everybody hydrate.
Wow, apparently no telling tales out of school or something. No faking Frankweller. Because my voice does not like that. I guess, do I have a temporary spot? I used to have... Must have been a temporary point. And then I logged out and it's gone. Yeah, okay, I had a temporary point. Well, then this will be Fakewell. Sure! Why not? Okay, let's see. Let's go to the middle of Fakewell and call it that. Why not? Where are we? No, not close enough. Okay, over by these houses, maybe? Sure, right by the bell. Why not? Okay. Add. I'm gonna forget why we called it that. That's why I'm calling it Fakewell. Global. No, actually, I don't need global. Let's try local. Confirm. Done. So now we're in Fakewell. Okay, I'm going to actually rename that because it looks really dumb with that in there. And aqua is an awful color for that. Let's make it... Dark blue? Sure. Confirm. There we go. FA for Fakewell. Alright. Hey, Tranquil Land. Good to see you. Sorry to hear that you ended up with a new account. I'm hoping there wasn't a problem with the old one. We are, give ourselves jump scares for no reason. We're working on pathing our way back to the main village base area, connecting Fakewell to, I don't know, whatever I want to call it. I don't think I actually have a name for that. I was going to call it Fake Shrewsbury, but that doesn't make sense, because then you end up with like a Shrewsbury or something. It sounds like a frozen drink. Come on. It's almost nighttime. Let's go. There we go. Fine Fox loves to say hello to everybody, so I'm glad, because sometimes he catches it when I forget, and I do apologize. I mean, I artificially say hello, but I like to really catch it and say hello to people. There we go. We cannot go through a tree.
I'm flying. I'm flying.
Hello, Henry. How you doing? I know I normally don't call out lurkers, but if they're going to play a sound or something, you get a greeting. It's a great way to let us know you're here.
Hello?
Hello. Good emote choice. I like that one. But while it's not great to see, I'm kind of... Oh. That's just a few skeletons with hats on, huh? I'm glad they're not above ground. We could probably take out a couple of trees on the way by, just opening things up a little bit. Will that actually despawn? No. The brain says no. Maybe? When you don't know, force it, right? There we go. That looks better. a little bit wider on the map. What did we miss? We can get under it, but the map does not make you want to like this tree. That will despawn, so we're good there. I guess I went a little wide on some of these. Oops. One, two, three, four. Well, that's not too bad. One, four. Okay. We're generally pointed in the right direction. Sort of. Almost there. Almost to the point where we should just be able to go right on through the pathing, and that's that. 1, 2, 3. That looks weird. Nope. All right. It's starting to look like something. I don't know what that something is, but it's starting to look like something. So, as I was saying earlier, one of the things I missed about coming home, or not missed by coming home, but I guess maybe that is what I mean. I missed the greenery. It was raining a lot in Ireland, and people were saying it's been one of the wetter years they've had for summers. And apparently that's the same all across the Isles this year. They're wetter than usual, which is odd for them to be quite so. They usually have a nice, like they had a nice June and then it went south from there. But a bit of a shame, I suppose. And we got the chance to see, in essence, a winter storm. So that was good. And then we came home to Canada, and lo and behold, it rains. It was like, really? But yet, we came home to yard watering restrictions. So, for example, we're not supposed to water our yard except on Wednesdays and Saturdays right now. Don't want trouble. Just light that up. Close enough. So I'm hoping with the rain that we've got today that we're going to be able to have that restriction lifted soon. But it just looks so dry and bland in Canada. I missed being able to actually see the green. As stereotype as that is. Yeah, the rain did water the lawn for free. I'll give it credit for that. It certainly did water the lawn for free. It's not like watering is expensive, but yeah, it's free in terms of effort as well. Although I will admit I had quite the chuckle while we were away because I allowed one of our slightly more eccentric neighbors to water our lawn while we were away. And we could get notices from our smart home devices and a few cameras and stuff to let us know when the gentleman was actually coming by to water the lawn. And it was just kind of funny to see. I didn't think I'd find it as amusing as I did. Oh, is there a tree that I just... This one, I suppose. Anyway, but it was just kind of interesting to see the silver-haired neighbor come across who was watering our yard. Okay, why am I missing a tree? How does I... Oh, I see, okay. So I'm trying to put the path through, and I know it's more realistic if it did actually have tree cover, but I think it's going to work better for me if it does not. So yeah, it was just kind of fun to have the neighbor water it, because basically the guy says he wants to have a nice looking yard. He likes the way our yard looks, and he wants to have a nice one for himself. Sure, no problem. We were away, he said, let me water your yard. So we said, sure. And boy, was he good at it. I think if the watering restrictions hadn't come in, he'd still be watering it like nearly daily. Which his yard certainly needs when he does that, simply because his yard is cut to about half the length our grass usually is. So that's the other thing about it, is that they're recommending you leave your lawn long so that it keeps the water in. And I think if it wasn't for that restriction, he'd probably still be cutting his almost Gulf Green length half the time. But it was kind of nice to know that nobody mowed our lawn, and it didn't come out looking too shaggy by comparison to the neighbors, just because if he couldn't water it, he wasn't going to mow it either. Okay, where are we here? 1, 2, that one. This bit's hard to figure out. Let me just flatten it, just because I can't seem to think today. Okay. This, that. There. Okay, now I can figure this out. Right? Maybe? Okay. Do-do-do-do-do. It doesn't have to be perfect. Sure. Why not? 1, 2, 3, 4. Through the hole. So, and anyway, I guess back to the yard story, is we're going to have a nice lawn when we're done, I suppose. It's nice that it's raining. I went out this afternoon with my son for a bit of a Pokemon walk in the break, and the air smelled fresh, which is positive, because it doesn't normally. I mean, we don't have stinky air, but what I'm trying to say about it smelling fresh, you know, there's always that freshness you get right after a rainstorm that feels good, and it was nice to have that back. That's what I was trying to get at. Can't figure out how in the life of myself. See, tongue doesn't work today. How, for the life of me, there we go, to get it to do that, to smell like that more regularly. But it's just the nature of the fact that it's always dry here. Prairies will do that. I mean, one of the other perks, though, about being back I did like, you can sweat and it actually evaporates. I shouldn't be thrilled about that, but it's great. Especially at night. One of the things that we don't do in Canada, seems to be a bigger thing in Europe, is that we don't do, at least not in our house, we don't do the duvet with fitted sheet. No, sorry. Yeah, like duvet with just fitted sheet. We actually have a flat sheet, too. So when you quilt some flat sheets, whoa, whoops. That was dumb. Whereas when we were in Ireland, of course, they did the duvet thing, and it makes it really easy. But the thing is, I find duvets really hot and heavy in the summer, even without a flat sheet underneath. Well, the first week we were there, we did like just the duvet without the flat sheet underneath, and the second week we were there, the hostess gave us flat sheet too, so we said, okay, sure, why not? And went with that, but it just still felt quite warm. And nighttime. Right. We really don't want a creeper. Hey, better than white-haired. Calling your neighbor white-haired is just insulting. Whether it's true or not. Too connected. Okay. Are you going to despawn? Please? There we go. You won't tell him. You won't tell him. Well, I have a feeling he's unlikely to come on stream anyways. Nationalities sometimes do play a role in what people tend to like or have access to. The gent in question, the next door neighbor, loves to stand on his porch. He's still a smoker, so he stands out there having his regularly scheduled cigarette sort of thing, and then just gets to watch all the neighbors. But he's not particularly nosy nor gossipy. He just likes to watch the world go by, and he wants his yard to look good while he does it. So this is the straightforward part of it, because we actually already got this bit done in terms of the cutting, going the other way. That's not too bad. See? I told you I didn't want creepers, and they're back there. Okay, let's just keep going. You can start to see a little bit of the arch that's going to be incorporated into... Oh, not the arch, sorry, the bridge. That's going to be incorporated into the gateway. I need to design that, so we may end up having to spend time later this week doing a rough version of it. But we need to figure out how to do the gates and the towers, because this will be the main road into the Shrewsbury area. In the book sketches and real-world sketch, there's actually more roads coming from the north and less so from the west. But the way the train worked in Minecraft, I'm not going to bother with some of those other ones. 1, 2, 3.
Hello there.
Tiz actually doesn't mind nosy neighbors as long as they keep their opinions to themselves. That's a layer of security, having someone who's always aware of what's going on. Exactly. Actually, we've got one of those on the opposite side. So the other side is nosy in terms of they half wish that something would go wrong in our house. They don't make it... No, they never make it so. They're not that awful. But they seem to half wish that something would go wrong in our house just so they'd have an excuse to come inside and see what it looks like. So we take turns watching each other's houses and bringing each other's Amazon packages in and that sort of thing. That's not the same neighbor as the one who sits or stands out there and smokes. This is the other side. There's some neighbors in our street that just generally are playing, keeping up with the Joneses, and not necessarily realizing that not everybody on the street's playing. Yeah, it sounds like you've got this neighbor too. They want to know everything. They're not exactly mean about it or anything like that. And they don't necessarily go gossiping to the whole world, but they've got a one-up. And I have a suspicion that that comes from both sides of the family. In that one, the neighbor himself is quite nice. The wife, or his wife, is, I think she wants to know too, but she's got a totally different attitude towards what she would do with the information. Their son is an interesting one. He used to be up against my son in soccer, and I didn't particularly like their son when he was like that. He could be a little bit of a trash talker, and a bit of a rough player unnecessarily. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, I'm not a huge fan of trash talking. I mean, the other thing is, when you get cute people that are trash talking and then you get them to turn around and act like they think they're God's gift to the sport when they're a kid, and this was community soccer, or in essence, recreational soccer because the kids want to be there, as opposed to competitive soccer where people are trying to prove something. So I don't think trash talking has a place in that type of soccer. As we've talked to in some other streams about sports, it's a little different up here than it is in the US. From what I gather, there's sort of recreational community league soccer, and then it goes straight on into like a traveling type of soccer, I guess, for more competitive league stuff. We don't have that one. We have sort of a municipal competitive league before you get to the traveling levels. And this guy would be better off in the municipal competitive, but I don't know if if his parents don't want to put him in it, or if he has not successfully passed the tryouts, but he's just something else. And then there's one of my son's scout troop buddies, whose parent is a soccer coach, and their house eats, sleeps, and breathes soccer. So it makes it kind of fun to see some of those houses go up against each other, but I'm glad when my kids aren't involved, just because nobody necessarily needs the attitude going around. I keep making this road wider and wider. It's going to look ridiculous by the time it gets down to the other side. Okay, where are we? You can start to see where the roads are going to come in. Okay, so 3. Let's see if I can point this straight at the other one. 3, 4. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3. If I can count to 4. It is so much easier to tear people down than build up. Exactly. I mean, sometimes people do that for their own bonuses. And it contributes to actually something I was hearing the Healthy Gamer YouTube channel guy talking about the other day, where he was basically going on about saying that once somebody convinces themselves they are something, whatever that something is, it's their ego talking. And they have a big ego. And it doesn't necessarily mean that they're being egotistical in the harsh sense, at an arrogant sense. The ego has to do with the I am part. So if somebody thinks, let's say somebody's depressed hypothetically, and they say that they're a failure, and they believe the I am X or Y, right? Then that would run into their ego telling them that they are whatever that thing is, which is not always accurate. So anyway, this kid's got a pretty big ego. And we'll just see where it takes him, because somebody, he's either going to get into a good sport that's going to help him work it out, or he'll be in junior high or senior high and some kid will give him a knuckle sandwich that'll take him to the cleaners. You know, there's ways to learn this sort of stuff, and while I don't condone fist fighting, it definitely does rearrange people's worlds. And some of the twits aren't quite so twittish, after all. But it'll be interesting to see what happens, because, I mean, my son's going to be hitting the middle school for the first time this fall, and although there's a school bus from our neighborhood, it's a longer ride than we had expected, and an earlier start, so we'll just have to see how things come out. Well, good. I was going to try and make a straight path, and I screwed that up, and that's perfect, because anything that's too perfect just doesn't look right. Still, this doesn't look right, but I think I can go on the idea that people walking it would be conserving their effort to try and have as straight a line as possible, just so that they could go in the gate with as little energy spent as possible. So we all rode into a forest. I wouldn't necessarily have a problem with that. But yeah. Yep, it's definitely getting a little off-centered. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4. There we go. The problem with doing diamond pathing, as opposed to straight paths, is just that it's hard to get myself not to be turned around. 1, 2, 3, and then 4. I'm also slightly nervous at this spot, as silly as it sounds, because earlier on there was a creeper hanging out over there. 3, okay, 1, 2, 4. Oops, well, that's fine. Just I can start to see where I want to go, I think. The reality of actually bringing anything up here, not likely. I should probably come in with some stairs or something. Once I get the gates done, I'll decide if it's worth it. Okay. There's a lot of texturing and landscaping that it really does need to be done for this base. Unfortunately, I'm just not the girl to do it well. So we're making the big strokes. Finesse is something that will be left. Because you still learn something every time. Thank you for the reminder, James. I appreciate that. I almost did forget to sleep, actually. Okay. Boy, oops. I'm aiming for sort of that center up there with the red stuff in it, and I'm kind of shifting again, drifting and shifting. I don't know. When I was cutting down, I was drifting left. When I'm coming back, I'm drifting the other left. I just don't know how I'm managing that. Perfect. So remember, exclamation point join to join the hill champion. Two, three, two. Just like that. 2, 3. Two, three. We're almost back. Yay! Which would be the objective of the stream met in an hour. I have to figure out something else. No, I was kidding. There's always more things to do. I'm drifting again. Pins, pop ins, pop ins. You don't need drama where you live. Not unless it's theater sports. Everybody needs theater sports. The world needs more theater sports. I know that sounds like a nerd activity, but I love theater sports. It's one of those things that I was never very good at, but I could never stop watching. It's sort of addictive. Okay. One, two, three, four. On that note, actually, I was explaining theater sports to our family in Ireland, and they weren't really sure what it was. And so the best thing I could come up with was an example of one of the games where people get handed an object or a series of objects, kind of like scenes from a hat, I guess, if you're watching Whose Line Is It Anyways. But I was trying to explain to them what the game was, and in this particular game that I was thinking of, it's you get handed an object and you earn points for your team, so your sport team, for every time you can come up with something that your object could be and act it out. Something that your object could be that is not what your object regularly is. So, for example, the most common sort of I guess demo done with that game is something like if someone hands you, say, an office stapler and you pretend it's a telephone, then you would earn points for your team. But there are ways to lose points for the team depending on the rules of the particular group you're playing with. So, for example, in a lot of school settings, if you use washroom-related humor, then you get your scene cut, sort of like end and scene and new game or new prop or whatever, and next person sort of thing, and you can actually lose points for your team depending on what the rules of the group you're playing with are. So that was kind of an interesting one, and I think we need more of that, but it's not one that we could actually do, sports jerseys with. Like, I can't imagine having, an Olympic stadium for theater sports. It just would not work. Okay. Or another one I'd seen was, as a theater sport game, was they called it Sports from a Hat. And basically what it was, in that case, they just used a hat, a surprise, and different names of sports, like actual sports, were put on in, or physical sports, I guess, were put in the hat. And then when the sport name was pulled, the team had to try and figure out how to act a little scene for a completely alternate and preferably unrelated definition for what that could be. Soccer's a good one. I'll give that as the example in this case. So if soccer came up, then people would probably try and figure out how to do a scene as though the definition for soccer was something that actually had to do with your laundry. Maybe it was some sort of competitive laundry washing, as odd as that would be. Or if you had, how would you explain football other than football? So I mean foot and ball, sure, but it would, in the one example I'd seen for that one, they tried to make it into a ballroom dancing thing. Not quite sure how that would work, but I'm not sure how a lot of these would work. So that was an interesting one that we had. I mean, some of the hand games or whatever makes sense, right? If you didn't know what a decathlon was, or a triathlon, or a pentathlon, then they ended up making a pentathlon of like household chores. Okay, what 5 household chores would you put in your pentathlon? It's an odd concept. So yeah, I also tried to explain the Geek Out game at one point that we use, where we do an exclamation point Geek Out, and you come up with a topic, such as the moment, the current Geek Out just became movies category for films in which Jennifer Aniston appears. Now in the game playing version, as I've mentioned before, the sort of offline version, the party game would actually have people betting who could actually make or meet the required amount from a single player. And then if you can exceed that, even better, you get bonus points. But you bet people would basically bet some of their points they'd earned thus far on whether or not they could actually meet the challenge. 1, 2, 3, 4. Pardon me. Frying pan for the win! Rigged. Totally rigged. So we're just about done with an ad break, and for those of you that see it, sorry to hear that. Totally rigged, but I'm waiting for the ad break to be over. There we go. So the community is back. Now, because I won it, and it makes everything look incredibly rigged, we're going to do another one of those hill runs right off the bat. There we go. And I'm not going to get in on it this time, just so that everybody else gets a chance to see if we can have somebody else win. Because the other reason I didn't want to be in on this one is the way the bots got it set up is that it will change the name of the redeem to show the last person that won it, and that looks kind of awkward if it's me. One, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3. Three. So yeah, I really enjoyed being in Ireland. I would go back any day. I would go back in a heartbeat. The flights were awesome. Fantastic Sherlock Fox sprung for a Dreamliner trip. I had never been on a Dreamliner before, so that was a treat and a half. Would very happily go on one of those again. Also, we were with WestJet, which is not necessarily a company that everybody knows, a Canadian carrier, but they actually had good food. Well, mostly. I didn't mind it at all. It was actually quite nice from my point of view. Our kids did mind it because they're not fans of, say, egg on English muffins or something. But aside from that, we were doing pretty good. 1, 2. Can't figure it out. 1, 2, 3. Yay! You'd have to take a boat to visit Ireland. Well, several years ago my mom took a trip to England and she tried to ground ship back one of those little books, you know, where you get a kid's name in the book as a souvenir. And it took 3.5 weeks, and that was by mail. I assume people would be a little faster, but you never know. 1, 2, 3, 4. 2, 3. Oh, I might have to forget to sleep again. Okay, we're up on this side, which is fine. I think that's good enough for now on that path because, pardon me, we would end up going all the way. Actually, maybe it's not a bad idea. Maybe I should follow my path all the way through, and then we're going to be doing some tearing down. So yeah, it's a lot of diggy this time around. Pathing this way, and then we're going to be tearing down some of these layers here, just in this weird raised section, try and flatten out some of this other stuff so that we can actually start building houses and so on. So there's not a whole lot of major projects, there's always more work to be done. And yeah, I'm going to have to put out an APB on the server for landscaping infill, just because I don't know exactly how high I want some of these areas to be. I mean, pretty flat, not dead flat. But yet, it's not necessarily worth filling it with stone and then putting dirt over top because I don't know for sure exactly how much I'm going to want. But I think I might as well just trace some of this red back to the central line, and then we've got ourselves the first road, which is not a bad thing at all. Oh yeah. I could very, very happily be the landfill for everybody's dirt bits. I'm not in dire need of it, you know. I do want to take that section down in the higher part I outlined. I do want to take it down anyways because it's just too high, but I'm using it as backfill to flatten out some of the other zones. So that's why you'll see as we get up here, there is, I think I'm on the right level? Yeah, there's a weird slot I've cut in. I think it's around about here. There we go. Yeah, it's here. So I've just cut one straight, more or less straight across. And I'll probably end up peeling down whatever this is. Yeah, like that. There we go. Just to start leveling things a little bit so it's not a bit of a valley or gully. But I'm just being cautious because of the fact that I know that in these strips there are caves. So yeah, I've cut into them a few times, especially under the yurt. There's definitely caves under the yurt, which is a shame. But I mean, there's caves under the whole thing. That's part of why I built the what do you call it? The mob thing. I was doing mob thing. There you go. Words are hard in any language. Doesn't have to be grass. It could be dirt. It could be anything that works as a half decent backfill. As it's like I've got plenty of stone because I have a stone generator, like so I could stand there and actually get a whole ton of stone. I just don't know how deep I want to make things to know if I could fill it with stone. So, yeah, that's really all it is. Okay, where is red? Is up there. 1, 2, 3. Oh, well, that's dumb. A lot of this is going to change once I get the towers in, but I better leave that one. 1, 2, 3. There we go. And on this side, 1, 2. All If there's stuff that's clogging up your storage, I will happily take it. So we have the walls on most of this area built up to about an approximate height of 6. Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4. That's 5, so it's a little higher on that side. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, so we have an approximate height of 6 here, which we actually have another 4 to go on top of that, with fences and such. But I wanted to actually start building things inside before I get back to the never-ending wall. The never-ending wall needs to be dealt with, so I'm going to try and fill... There's a gash over here, which you can sort of see the regular shape there in the middle. It's very, very flat. And that actually was a cave. I just flattened it over. So I know that one I'm going to fill with stone and then just put dirt over top, because filling that with dirt is such a waste. But I have to decide what level I want on that one. So, yeah. We got a ways to go. But I'm getting happier with this build, even though it's dragging on and on. I'm not the world's fastest builder, but I'm enjoying myself, and that's really the key, right? 1, 2, 3. Oops. There we go. If I can count to 4, we're good, right? Isn't that how it goes? Keep deciding that I can do this with 4, and then I say 3, and I can't keep my mind sorted out, so we're just going to wing it. 1 wingy dingy, 2 wingy dingy, 3 wingy dingy more. There we go. Okay, now this part's going to change because we're going to be chopping and whatnot. So, let's see, where are we here? 1/4 after the hour. And it is a Tuesday. We know what happens on Tuesdays. Tuesdays are awesome. Tuesdays are ones where there is a great run going on. We've got, at the risk of sounding like my ego's getting the better of me, we've got myself, and then followed often by the amazing Stormy Owl. I would say usually, but I can't guarantee it all the time. And when the awesome owls have dropped by here, I suspect they're probably running later, because they would have said, "Don't raid me," if that was the case, that they were not. And then, after that, we have a Dadcraft night. So that's my usual recommendation for Tuesdays. If you have mileage that you prefer otherwise, on the one hand, go for it, because we love to expand our horizons. On the other hand, I'm gonna tell you you're missing out. Right? Huh? Lurk! Off to feed the kid. Morning tea time. Morning tea time? What did I miss? Morning tea time? That's awesome! I only knew about afternoon tea time. Jeez, I was today years old when I learned about morning tea time. Cool. My brain loves to rewrite lyrics to songs, so I get an earworm idea in my head. And so when the owls are talking about a boat, I was thinking about... I cannot for the life of me remember the name of the song, but in this case, it'd be moving on a feathered boat loaded with crazy people. We should be this... And I was going to be the Santa Maria, but it wasn't. It was... what did the brain give me? I think it was the Feathered Maria or something like that. Looking for the UK coast, which didn't make any sense whatsoever, and nor did it actually sound as funny as it looks like it could have. But I've just figured I'd share, because that's what made me silent all of a sudden, was going, no, no, I don't need that. Neither do you. But I'd share anyways. Okay. Actually, I was thinking the other day that I hadn't learned basically any Irish words, and that's pretty much what I said this morning. But I guess technically that's not true, because we did learn about an Irish dance festival called a fleadh, and it's actually spelled kind of like you would guess, but it was fun. It was fun. And in spite of the fact that I used to dance clogging style, which is not necessarily miles and miles away from Irish dance style, I did not learn a single thing while I was out there. And I think that was probably for the best, because I couldn't keep the bones wanting to go. One of the disadvantages to moisture is that everything starts getting all creaky pretty quickly. Okay. Head scratcher. What do I think is best to do? I think maybe I should switch over. Pick up some more of the stone and just start filling holes. It's either that or peel down. So I think filling. There's more excitement in peeling down, though. I don't know what I want to do. I guess I have to sleep. That's probably a good place to start. And I keep slouching. How rude. These, is it nighttime? Oh, Mike's still here. Okay, good. I have a reason to sleep. So this pathing that we did, we can also do another one that goes all the way around the interior of the wall, which helps us lay out a lot of the roads connecting to the other sections. But I think I'm going to save that one for an off-camera element, just because that will be about as dry as paper, you know? It's probably not the world's best plan. Maybe I'll just go do some digging down, peeling down. And we've got dirt in the inventory we can do stuff with, right? Okay. Where I started? Perfect. We will get there. I'm looking forward to building things. One of the other things I want to do is come up with a, what do you call it? A standard design for a house, because I mean, it's great to have some model or various models to work with, but having a base template to work with really will speed things up. Because you know how many times that I change my mind as we go on these trips, so it's probably going to be a good thing if I come up with a base design that we can work with. Might start out looking like one of the DC shroom houses, but I need to figure out if my scale is going to be bigger than that, or if it's just going to be that size. And part of tonight's plan, or tonight and tomorrow morning maybe, and I mean other than on stream, so off camera, is to start plowing through my fancy-pantsy, like 3-inch thick CAD file compendium, and start trying to make a list of important buildings in the stories, things in the town, so such as, like, we'd have probably a Glover's, and there might have been a reference to an actual, like, blacksmith type spot, and there's probably a few other in the story, or in the series type of places mentioned, stopping by the whatever. And so I need to start making a list out of those, because building those places will often determine the scale of the rest. Because I mean, if you had a town inn that's 2 stories tall and it has plenty of decorative rooms, it has itself, in essence, a tap room, then that gives you a good idea of scale to work with. But then it doesn't make sense to have the sort of the rest of the townspeople's homes that supposedly are businesses as well, not be any bigger than Mr. Owl's closet last season. So I think I need to get that. But yeah, and then we can actually start having cool names for places. That's the other thing too, is a lot of the places in the series I know that were mentioned were vaguely nondescript places. And so what I mean by that is they would mention the function of the building, but it didn't actually have a name. So we can start giving them cool names and stuff. And that won't necessarily be for points, that'll just be often by suggestion. I mean, it's sort of like we got ourselves Fakewell. We now have ourselves the village of Fakewell. I do need that stuff, but it's easier for me to heal it layer by layer without falling into holes. I hear you, you crazy mobs. Oh. Yeah. Somebody gave the baby zombie some mouthwash. It's just gargling away back there. All right. Yay. So, let's see. Try that one. Mouthwash. To me, it really does sound like that. I mean, a lot of them say grrr or brr, but it really does sound like they're gargling a little bit. Hello. And I can't repeat it on camera. Oh! Hello. Welcome on in, Raiders. Welcome to everybody. Good to see you, Skyfire crew. Nice. Thank you. So, for those of you, I'll just take a quick pause. For those of you who are unfamiliar with me, hello, Skyfire Raid. Yes, good to see you. Thank you very much for bringing your friends by, Skyfire. When you get a moment, if you're not inundated by ads, please do take the time and let us know what you were up to today. I really appreciate it. Ooh, that is a cool emote.
Hello there. Hello there.
From Toshi Beanie. What's that one? It is. I gotta mouse over.
Hello.
Hello. Lechonk. Mmm. It's a global, but I haven't seen it used before, at least not here. Hey, Juliana, good to see you. Good to see you. Okay, where are we here? I'm still trying to get my feet under me after I've been away for 2 weeks. I was on family vacation in Ireland and absolutely had a blast. But for those of you who are not familiar, who am I? Basically, I'm a stay-at-home mom who loves to play Minecraft, and normally it's while my kids are in school or having their own electronics time where they don't want mom involved. So twice a day on Tuesdays and Wednesdays, and once in the mornings on Thursdays, I stream Minecraft. The vast majority of the time of late, I've been on the Dadcraft73 Java Patreon server, or Patreon members server. But he's got 3 servers, so if you're into Dadcraft73's material, then definitely do give those options a thought. It's a great crew to be with, and at the moment we only have myself and one other on the server right now, but there are quite a few of us. This particular base this season is you can't really see much of it from here actually, though I guess you can see the wall, which is sort of one of the major defining features. So I'm using a few quality of life mods, well, quite a long list, but this season we have a base based on the novels by Ellis Peters, or also known as Edith Pargeter, and they're the Brother Cadfael Chronicles. So we have ourselves a castle up top. It's a sort of a basic Mott and Bailey style, where representing the keep I've got a little tiny iron farm. It's hard to see if you're on mobile, so I do apologize for that. And then we've got the big town wall, which is still in process, but level 1 is complete, and then I have to add more to it. And then we have 2 gates to design, one on the west and one on the east. And then to the east we have ourselves a monastery, which is more of a Benedictine style. And we still have some work to do over there. So we've got the mill, a little bit of the mill race, and some bit of mill ponds around some manual farming, and a guest house. And then we need to put in the abbot's lodgings still. So that's a project to come. Thank you very much. Let's see. Skyfire says that they were on... Oops. For some reason it didn't come up that way. Huh? Oh, really? That is dumb. Anyways, Skyfire was saying, I was playing on Tiz's Hardcore Challenge today. Bedrock Hardcore with Foxy's mod. I decorated some streams I built previously and made a path. See, you'd be amazing, because I would totally love to hire you for terraforming. I am dreadful at that. Most of my work is very, very perfunctory and fills holes and makes things flat, and I have a very predictable style. Case in point is the rather regular patterns around the moat for the castle, just because I do the same thing every time. It worked. It wasn't great, but it works. It's functional. But, yeah. And I did not realize that using the short form for Foxy No Tail would end up becoming something that the auto mod decided was a not permitted term. So that's why it took a little while for me to see that. It's because my one screen wasn't showing the comment since it hadn't been approved from the auto mod system. Yeah, it always takes practice to be good at terraforming. It's one of those things that someday I will do, because every time I come up against a terraforming challenge, I always get slightly better than I did before. So someday it'll look good. I mean, step one is to make it functional. Like right now, this one, I'm just peeling down, so we don't have any coverage for the stone section yet. You know, and there's another stone section to the north that needs to be covered up, which would not be showing. But it's actually interesting because, for those of you that are unaware, I got... the book series that I'm writing about is actually based on a fictionalized version of medieval Shrewsbury, England, and Shrewsbury is a real place. And some of the names used in the book for the Shrewsbury Abbey, there really was an abbey there. Or sorry, not an abbey, well, yes, but a monastery in Shrewsbury, England, back in the mid-1100s. And they, in the book, use correctly, or the correct order, some of the abbots who were in charge at the time. So the main characters and the majority of the characters in the book are completely fictionalized and didn't exist. They're not even reusing names of actual monks that were there, except for the names of people who are really in charge. So that was kind of cool. Other than that, it's, as I said, it's just fake. But it's fun to play with fake. And I got lucky in Minecraft, where I was going with that. Yeah, so I got lucky in Minecraft in that Shrewsbury, England, if you take a look at it on a Google map, is actually on an oxbow of a river. And so I got quite lucky that when I found this spot, I wanted it because of the plains, and I didn't even notice where the river was going. So then when I got my FreeCam mod turned on and my mapping mod, I was putzing around the edges and went, my goodness, I actually got the oxbow I'm looking for. Now, unfortunately, this is much more of a ravine in Minecraft than the reality should be. So we're just pretending that it's okay, you know, Minecraft, because it's one of those things that if it was to be a permanent world, then I might actually bother to go and terraform stuff. But I saved that, and then, you know, we just talked about how much I am not good at terraforming and dislike it. But I mean, it's one of those things where if it was to be a permanent solo world, then it might be that case. Aww. Let's see. Before it disappears, the current champion of the hill... Oops, wrong one. Current champion of the hill appears to be... Where am I here? Oh, current champion of the hill is James Curry. So he will be dethroned by default simply because I believe he's currently lurking. Just because he mentioned he had to go and feed his kid. So, yeah. Okay, so I'm gonna do, I'm leaving these floating blocks because they're supposed to represent paths. So I'm working off of a sketch, actually. But I think I'm gonna go ditch some of these extra blocks I don't need, and I can take the dirt that I picked up and put it elsewhere. Okay, let's put those away, that away. Sticks over here. Eggs always go away. Oh, I'm a little shorter on that than I thought. Okay. This one. Go. Alright. We've got dirt, we got a mess, stone brick stairs. Oh, right, I have another place where those belong. That's why I'm carrying them around. Okay, in the meantime, let's put the eggs away. I have far too many eggs. I had an egg farm, and it got ridiculous, and I didn't need it as much as, oops, as much as I thought I would. There we go. So this one is just one of those generic egg cookers, right? You know, chickens make eggs, they end up in the hopper, which goes into the dispenser, which shoots them out and they hatch. You know, but the top dispenser here has lava in it, but ever since about 114, I think, stuff, when your chickens die, it'll go up into the lava and it doesn't just get cooked, it often gets burnt, like as in gone. So by this one having the dispenser, spitting it out and picking it back up, you can set an adult chicken on fire, but the lava is picked up before it actually converts into cooked chicken. And then there's a hopper minecart underneath the slab, which that is going down into a hopper. And we just need the minecart version because otherwise it won't suck the cooked chicken away fast enough for it to avoid the lava, which seems to be working relatively well. I mean, we've got ourselves some feathers and stuff, but we've got nearly 3 stacks of chicken, which is a good start. A good, solid start. But that's how I've been supplying the free chicken stand at our shopping plaza. Yeah, this one is actually interesting because I hadn't used this version before. The previous version I had didn't have the second lava section, like it was actually based on the older design, where you could just have a lava floating block up top. But I was finding I was getting far less chicken out of that. So I looked around and found a couple of modifications to it. Nope, actually, if we put them in the hopper, here, what actually happens is it's got a comparator coming off the back, and so the comparator stays lit if we have anything more than one egg in there. So if we put them in the dispenser, what actually happens is the first egg will go into the hopper, which triggers the comparator, and there's like redstone goes up here via this observer, and it will trigger off the whole setup. So the bottom dispenser gets fired twice. Once when the first egg goes in, and then there's room for the first egg to leave again, so the egg will go into the dispenser, which means that the comparator will see a difference yet again, or the comparator will change, basically, which the observers will see, and that gives a second shot. So that's why I put them in the dispenser to overfill it that way, because then we get more baby chickens out the front. Yeah, so it can run on its own even when the lower dispenser runs out, it is empty, because we will get eggs from the chickens here from time to time, but it just does seem to give us twice. Yeah. Yeah, so what it does is every time an egg gets in... Actually, let me just show you. It's a little easier that way. So I'll just put them in one at a time. You guys can see what's going on here. So you'll hear it fire twice. You hear it fire twice, so I'll just put in one egg. You hear the blop as well. So if that didn't work, let me just kill the sound for a second. Pause. There we go. So hopefully you guys will be able to hear this a little bit better. Oops. Okay, so when I put in one, it disappears, but... Oh, you're not hearing this time. Which means we have space. There we go. There must have been space in the... It's going to turn me into a liar. Yep. Okay, so anyways, it gets fired twice. But if there are extras, I guess they just fill up. There we go. So you can hear it twice. Once as far as the double firing goes, it will spit out the lava on the first firing, and then on the second firing, it sucks the lava back up again. But when I have eggs in the dispenser, because it fires twice, then it will actually give us 2 eggs shot out, rather than just simply the one that you would have had if it was only the egg coming from the the hopper. So in essence, you end up with a single, what do I put it? In a way, it's almost a blank fire when it first sees the egg, and then you'd have the egg go through, which gets fired on the second one. But because there's eggs in the dispenser, then you'll get 2 fired out. So it's a little nicer because then it keeps these guys busy enough that we haven't had any. Ooh, hello. We haven't had any problems recently in terms of entity cramming, but they do try to squeeze out the side sometimes. So yeah. Possibly. But it does seem to be far enough apart that even with the extra eggs in there, just because there's a 1 in 8 chance of getting a chick, that you're not actually going to have much chance of it being in the way with too many. The other thing I found when I had it double wide, so you can see the space here, I had it double wide with the older style, which doesn't work with the current setup. But with the double wide one, what it was doing is I would manually fire off a lot of the eggs, and there was a point at which the eggs, even though they weren't cracking, they were firing out and hitting the other baby chicks and killing them. So that was kind of stupid as well. Okay, where were we? Oh, I know why I'm still in here. Because I'm looking for the rocket box. The rocket box! There. So you just heard it go twice back to back. Which we didn't have to worry about egg overflow. It's kind of a nice perk. Okay. So it keeps it's slow enough that it keeps the baby chicks from cramming, yeah. Or from growing up all at once as well. That's where I was going with that idea. Don't forget to turn the music back on. Yes, actually, that's a fantastic idea. Ethereal, okay. So this is from the Argo Fox playlists, and they're a record label that does royalty-free music for creators to use in monetized videos. And so this one was Ethereal, spelled oddly, by somebody called Almighty Zero. All right. What was I thinking of? I can't even remember anymore. Let's go up here and up the stairs and, oops, sleep it off. That's okay, it can be berries too. Berries are beautiful. Berries are sweet and fruity too. I think I like that one. It's very berries. I think we should add that to the definition for what it means when somebody is using the word berries. I like that a lot. Oh, fantastic Sherlock Fox. So, filling you guys in, alright, I should probably take the carrots out while I'm here. Do I have carrots? There we go. So, we like to use Rory's Story Cubes at our house. I don't know if you guys are familiar with that product, but basically it's a series of little dice that have pictures on them. That should be fine. Pictures on them of various different things that you might want to have in a story. So it could be a place, it could be an adventure, a thing, whatever. And they have different little themed sets. And so Fantastic Sherlock Fox ordered a set that is full of themes related to Star Wars. So you might get stuff like a lightsaber. And I'm glad that they have arrived. It sounds quite pleasant, to be honest. It'll be fun to see what my kids do with that one. Yeah. I've got, we've got the original set, which is, it's sort of a multi-purpose type of thing. I've got the original set, and then we've also got a set based on fantasy stories. This is the bit that was deadly flat because I just filled over a cave that's underneath. But, so So I've got the set for fantasy stories. And, oh shoot, I forgot to check one thing while I was away. Whee. I want to see what level this ground is at. So I got those two sets, and they're great. We found another one for Harry Potter themed stuff, but I thought, nah, you know, okay, 120, really? Did I seriously? Oh, okay, well, I guess I don't have to fill that other one all that much. This one is... Oh no, we're at 113, okay. I don't have a lot of filling. But I figured that people don't necessarily ask for a lot of Potter-themed stuff on stream. I just kind of foisted upon you guys anyways. So, I said, no thanks. We'll skip those ones because I'm not using the story cubes on stream. I mean, that would be an interesting project, would be to try and... Or a test, I guess, would be to allow people to redeem the story cubes. Maybe I can debut it Saturday for something to play around with. That they can redeem a roll in the story cubes and see what Dell comes up with trying to put all of the story cubes we've got into a story for you guys. That could be interesting. I know that Maribel Jade does something similar, or has on occasion done something similar, so we'll have to see what that looks like. To see whether or not it works for our stream environment or not. Could be something different to play with, but in any case, I didn't think the Potter theme would work out too well. There's enough fodder for Star Wars that it's pretty clear it's sort of open-ended of a world to be able to play with. And not to mention that people figure Potter is often just a retelling of Star Wars. Whether it is or it isn't the point. There's also plenty of people that are not necessarily into hearing about that stuff, for whatever the reason is, and that's fine. So, yeah. Easier not to borrow or steal from other people's ideas if I just don't use them. Anyway, but there's plenty of stuff available in the fantasy series and the basic series that we could muck around with, so maybe that might be something fun for Saturday. Try something a little different, right? The best bit about trying something like that on a stream weekend is that if it works, we have the opportunity to decide if we want to incorporate it into all of the streams as an option. That's just one more thing people can do. Or if it fails miserably or gets overused to the point of tiring people out, then it just shows up for the weekend and it's gone again. So it's flexible. So you, my fine friends, unfortunately get to be guinea pigs on the weekend if you're around. So Saturday's plan for this world, because my other world's solo, so it would definitely be this world, is we're going to do, on these walls, we're going to do some of the gates. One more time, we've got, where we were doing our road, we need to actually do a couple of towers and make it a gate to actually protect the city to get in. And then I've got, on this side, I need to figure out, right now there's a temporary pass-through under the wall over here by the melon farm, but I need to actually figure out how to make it a little path sort of connect up to this bridge that goes across the water, and then we've got a gate somehow in the wall in there, which I haven't figured out where exactly to put it, like whether I want it in line or whether I want it more where the gap is or whatever. I haven't got that far because this part is sort of independent. The sketches would have actually had the monastery being way smaller than it turned out to be. Minecraft for you. And it would have been probably about halfway down east-west wise, so we're way out, but that's okay. Means we can do what we want, right? It's inspired by, it's not a recreation of, which makes more sense. There we go. I'm just asking myself why I was getting so fussy about where the blocks were being placed, because though I don't like it when they accidentally stack up 2 blocks high, on the other hand, I have several rows deep to go, so why should it matter? Dylan's artistic license. Oink? Oh. Give me a second. Yeah. I'm quite a fan of some of the classic history series as well. So last season, Toshi, my theme was quite loosely mysteries. So I spent a lot of time dealing with Sherlock Holmes and Hercule Poirot, Agatha Christie. So, you know, Arthur Conan Doyle's work and then Agatha Christie's work. I wanted to do more Agatha Christie and do a reference to her Miss Marple character, but I couldn't quite figure out what to do because a giant ball of yarn with knitting needles or something just really didn't seem appropriate, nor an old lady's hat, because there was really nothing. Every representation I had ever seen of the Miss Marple character, whether it be from book covers or actresses or, you know, different movies and stuff, was always different. There was nothing really iconic about that character, which is a shame because I quite liked it. She's one of my favorites, but Holmes is far more distinct in terms of classic look, to the point where they were even mocking it in the BBC Sherlock with Benedict Cumberbatch, because, and yes, I know I said that wrong, but they were even mocking it at one point because somebody gifted him a deerstalker in the modern version, and he was sort of wearing it just to kind of mock and get out of the house. But it was an important piece, and actually it was funny because we were in Ireland looking in a shop where I ended up buying a cape, actually. But my daughter spotted a tweed double... Was it beaked? No, that's not the word. Billed? No, maybe that's not the word either. But anyways, she spotted a deerstalker, and she says, "Look, Mom, it's a Sherlock Holmes hat." And I was like, well, yes, but it actually has a name. It's not a Sherlock Holmes hat? No, not exactly. So I could have had myself a nice Irish wool tweed deerstalker, which would have looked great on a guy, but unfortunately does not look so great on a gal. So I was happy to content myself with the Irish wool cape instead. And actually, it'll be interesting because my mum has an allergy to wool. So it'll be interesting to me to see how she handles it if she manages to make a trip to Ireland, in terms of souvenirs, because it actually took effort for us to find linen tea towels for her to be able to have a souvenir. So just have to see what happens with that. Okay. I guess I don't really care what this is made out of. Let's stitch. Get some more stone. I'll take this, put it up, and... No, not that. Silly me. There we go. Close enough. Alright. But it'll be interesting to see, because she's got an allergy to wool, including, like, a lot of people say, well, you can wear merino, or you can wear, like, alpaca, or something like that. And I don't know if alpaca would bother her. I've never actually asked, but I definitely know that merino wools is being a very common one. She can't wear that either. It makes her very, very itchy. Oops. So I'm hoping that it'll be okay. But I had so much fun. One of the things that we did when we were in Ireland, we went to a wool mill that has been operating for over 300 years. Like, quite literally, this year is their 300th anniversary. And in this wool mill it's neat because they weave stuff, literally from scratch. They get the fleeces in and they all washed up and stuff, and they spin it themselves and everything. And it's done with machines and things, but it's some fairly old machines showing when people actually would sit at the mill and have to use pedals to pull strings and so on. It's done mechanically now, but the machines were built in the 1960s, so they take maintenance from time to time. And this place was cool enough that they're the one who still has the contract to do the official scarves for Trinity College in Dublin. So I thought that was pretty cool. So yeah, we got to learn a lot about various different things. My daughter got to go see a country fair, and where they were actually exhibiting. Oh boy, exhibiting a lot of the sheep in the region, and she got to see a whole bunch of different breeds of sheep, so I thought that was kind of cool because it's really up her alley. It was a day where my husband and I didn't actually get to go there. I can't remember what we were doing. There was some other thing we were up to. But anyways, they went with the in-laws and had a blast, as I understand it. So, yeah. It's kind of funny, though, to see who identified with who about what. You know, Ireland is going to stay on my bucket list. It's not just because we had family there. This time, I mean, we did, you know, do some family-ish things together. But we had to go to places in the southeast and learn a lot about Vikings and the Norse coming through and so on. And the wonders of Oliver Cromwell and yada yada yada. But it's still on my bucket list because I could do history till the cows come home. Or the sheep come home, depending on your point of view. And I love that part of it. The kids can get burnt after a while. So there's some things that I would want to see and do that we didn't get to see and do, so I would go back. So for example, Christchurch Cathedral has tours, and Trinity College has tours of, like, you can see the Book of Kells and so on and so forth. And we did get to see the, was the Book of, I think it was Wexford? I think? I'll have to remember. I think that's what it was. So it was really, like, we saw that sort of stuff, and I had a blast, and I had a hard time getting out of some of the museum-type places because I was enjoying myself so much. So while there was a lot that I think our kids enjoyed, because they do happen to be quite museum-oriented kids and love history in that respect, even they got burnt out after a while, so it would stay on my bucket list to be able to go back for a lot of that sort of stuff again. Also, there were a few neighborhood hikes, and, well, in the neighborhood, hikes and walks that I'm just not in the physical condition to be able to do to my satisfaction right now. So it will stay on my bucket list so I can just go back again and, in essence, beat that hill kind of thing. The Waterford Parchment Book. That's the one. Waterford, not Wexford. And in Waterford it was neat because we also got to see, not only did we get to see like a virtual reality Viking presentation, we also got to see a tower that had been built in 2 or 3 stages, and it was used for different defense of the city. There was also a museum display in one of the museums regarding some religious vestments that when the monasteries were getting dissolved, this particular church decided that there was no way they were going to give over their important religious vestments to the state and have their church dissolved. So they stuck them in a trunk in the 1500s, buried the trunk, and 123 years later, someone else dug it up in the 1700s. And that was pretty cool because these things were really, really, really well preserved. Like, you could still see a lot of the colors. And I mean, some of the colors, excuse me. Thank you very much, James, for being my biggest fan. I appreciate it. Some of the colors in these vestments, we know that, you know, when you see stuff on television, that red is a color that seems to last, reds and oranges and so on. But these ones had blues and greens and golds and all kinds of colors that wouldn't normally last if it wasn't preserved well. And so these things were on display, and I could have just looked at them for hours. Okay, where is... I can hear, it's probably underneath me in the cave, but I can hear the spider and it's giving me the heebie-jeebies. We had fun in Waterford because it was a city that has never been taken, if that makes any sense. So they have successfully managed to repel the Vikings, they've successfully managed to repel the English, they've successfully managed to repel basically everybody, and that includes Cromwell. He tried, failed to take the city, and then the following, like a year later in the summer, I think it was his son tried to come back, and it looked like he was going to take the city, but he failed as well in the end, actually. So it's the city that's never been taken. Thank you, Fox. I appreciate that. And so, since the city has never been taken, there's tons of history, but there's also great parts of the city walls still around. Waterford's done a really neat thing that I've never seen anywhere else. They've blanketed the city with Wi-Fi. So, when you're going around through the city, there are various different points of historical interest, or other types of interest too, that are marked on walls and posts and buildings and you name it, where it's QR codes. So you go running around the city and you're scanning QR codes and bringing up web pages that talk about things. So it can be very self-guided. There are definitely plenty of tours that you can pay for, like plenty of tour guides that will take you around, and they know their stuff, so it's not like they're doing that instead. But I mean, one of the things that we noted was for 2023 in the summer, there happened to be a street art festival, and where people were allowed to put art up on the sides of buildings, and then there was QR codes so that people could learn about the various artists and painters and whatever who were doing the paintings on the sides of the buildings. I thought that was pretty cool. I think they had at least 5 museums in the city that did have, paid entry and whatnot, most of them. But they all banded together as part of the tourism department, so to speak. And so you could actually go to them individually, or had we had enough time, you could buy a pass that lets you into all of them. And you just buy that at one place. So it's really kind of cool how that they all got working together. The downtown, that's true, the downtown Viking and medieval areas are Wi-Fi at least, yeah, you're right. But a lot of that stuff was able to be seen. And when we were walking around part of the downtown, not necessarily the core, but still the Viking areas and the medieval areas, you could actually go to one of 5 different types of towers. So not all towers are square, not all towers are curved. There were some of them that were double. There were some that were like crescent shaped. And some of those examples are still there in the city walls. You can actually walk up to them, and there's plaques and stuff. It's pretty neat. But a lot of the places I was finding, both in actually just Ireland in general, seems to be really interested in their history. The places we went, because it seemed like there was an awful lot of places that would have various little plaques to people and events for all sorts of things. Everything from like, James Joyce stayed here, through to when the first almshouse had been put up, through to a house. There was one house I saw a sign on that said that when the building was first built, within 15 years, the landlords that owned it at the time volunteered space, like for sort of one night only type space, for people who were going to be getting on the famine ships out of Ireland the next day. So, I mean, thinking about that's kind of an interesting concept, is giving people who basically had no home one last night of shelter before these people leave your country forever. And it was just a concept that hadn't really occurred to me. Yeah, one of the towers in the medieval part of Waterford actually even had a fun little AR game to play where you just point at the world and then clicked on it, and it placed a fake cannon, and then you had, I think it was like 30 seconds to hit a series of targets. So you'd hit one and with your little cannonball, and then it would move where the target was. And you would be rotating around based on where you'd placed your cannon on the ground, which was kind of neat. They're also one of the cities that has got a piece of the New York City trade towers. So that was a neat piece to see, because it was also on top of a piece of Waterford glass, and they're very famous for that. And we got to see a guy who was actually hand blowing glass, so that was cool too. There's just more to see than we had time for. So yeah. And also some of the things that the kids got into. Oh boy. I don't remember where I put the bed. There we go. Some of the things the kids got into, or were actually interested in, surprised me, and some of the things that I thought would bore them didn't. So the Geek Out text, there we go. Yep. no problem. You can always ask about stuff like that. So our geek out, I'm going to roll a fresh one for you just for the purpose of conversation. We're back into literature. So what a geek out is actually normally it's a game with a bunch of cards and categories. So you would roll a dice that would have up to 5, like so 5 different colors on it. So we've got, can't remember, it's like red, blue, green, yellow, and black, and then the 5th side is white. And, or sorry, the last side, 6th, I can't count, is white. And the idea is each of those colors corresponds to a category. So as you're seeing on here, this would be literature. I believe literature was yellow, but anyways, the point to it is that in the game, you would be asked to, in essence, bet how many, like if you could actually meet the targeted amount or exceed it. So whoever bet the highest number that they could do. So if it's here in this example, it said 4 authors whose last names begin with the letter R. So first people would try to get their name in to bet however many points on whether or not they could actually meet that target. But then it's meet or exceed, I guess, that target. If someone said, "Oh yeah, well I can do better than that," you know, yes, Bill bet 500 points that he could get it, but I'm going to bet 600 that I can get 2 more than that. Well, then it'd be a matter of putting your money where your mouth is, kind of thing. And so what I've done with it is just take the cards and the categories and rig my bot so that when we do anybody, oh, ad break, hold on. Sorry, it's like, hold that thought. I'll explain it as soon as the ad break's over. Okay, so ad break's over. So what I've done with that game then is I've rigged my bot to basically pull a random number like you would if you were rolling a dice between 1 and 6, and then corresponding each of those numbers to one of the colors, which then of course turns to the category, and so the bot will then pull a random line from a file that contains all the text content from that category color. So in other words, I have a file for yellow and a file for blue and a file for, or let me correct that. So like I'd have red, but then red is all movies. So I'd have a file for movies, and I'd have a file for television, and a file for music category, and a file for miscellaneous, and so on. So the bot's doing basically roll a random out of it, and then from that pull a random line of the corresponding file, and here's your category. We still have targets to see if we could actually get there. So for example, this is 4 authors whose last names begin with the letter R. I mean, a giveaway in this case is to use the Harry Potter example, and we've got J.K. Rowling, or Rowling or Rowling, depending where you're from, starting with an R, so that one would qualify. If we, I've got it set right now so that other than, I don't know if I'm the only one that can do it in under 5 minutes. Mods might be able to, I can't recall. But it's a 5 minutes on that question. It doesn't go away, I mean, as in, couldn't be reset for 5 minutes. But if we meet the target, then in 5 minutes we can reset it. If we don't meet the target, it usually sits there till we do. There's an occasional time that I pull streamer's prerogative, and I'll change it earlier because there's the odd one that doesn't quite come out family friendly, or there's too much probability that it wouldn't. Or ones that, based on whoever happens to be in the chat at that time, I'm fairly sure that crowd doesn't know about that topic. So that's where I'll pull streamer's prerogative and roll it again. So the difference being, rather than expecting one chat person to be able to pull up all 4, I'm just saying, yeah, let's see if as a group of chatters we can crowdsource the target number of whatever it is looking for. Yeah, look at something a little bit different. This is the pop culture edition. So pop culture edition has all those categories. There is there is like a sort of a default edition, and the default edition has categories that make it come off sounding a lot more like a Trivial Pursuit style set of categories with World Geo and stuff like that. And I will probably need to grab a second set of cards fairly soon because I think we're starting to loop some of the questions. There's a few I'm fairly certain I've seen, but then again, you know, as the streamer, yeah, you see them all. But yeah, so anybody can run that one. I did not put a price on it. Exactly, Fantastic Shock Fox. I think the last time I heard someone who knew 2 songs about motorcycles, I think that was a gentleman by the name of Batkratz. And then there's some that, you know, songs where you'll get, name 3 songs that have piano interludes. And I was like, oh, Piano Man? And then I drew a blank. So it's things like that that you don't necessarily think about. And sometimes, when we have things like 4 authors whose last names begin with the letter R, I mean, we know, so if we say Rowling, then some people say, well, what did they write? What did Rutherford write? And so on. I'd love to say Russell, but I can't for the life of me think of an actual author whose last name is Russell. I know a character, but that's not the same thing. When it says literature, I should probably specify. Literature is anything written. I mean, we're not talking street signs, but we can talk, you know, magazines, books, newspaper articles, comic books. I suppose manga would count. I'm not really sure what other category that would normally be in. Maybe it'd be miscellaneous. There you go, see? So there's a third one, and I didn't know anything about that. And if it's teen fiction, I might have just picked up a brand new author that I had never heard of that I'm interested in learning about. So something like that can pick up some really neat conversations as side material. Every once in a while, we'll get one where it'll be like a music category, and then of course I got an earworm stuck in my head and can't resist humming. Which is to your detriment, I'm afraid, but it happens nonetheless. Actually, as long as I don't have a head cold or sinus issue going on, sometimes you'll get a snippet. I'm not the world's worst singer. I can carry a tune, but I have retired a points redeemed for singing a snippet because A, the people I wasn't giving people the choice of what snippet they got. It was just whatever earworm stuck in my head at that time. And B, for good reason, it wasn't very popular. So, you know, it was just when an idea dies, you move on. So we've got 3 authors that begin with R. Do we have a 4th? It's like an auction. Do I hear 4? 4. Do I hear 4? I hear zombie, but you are below ground, sir, or in the wall, so I don't really care. Okay, put that down there. Maybe not in the wall, you might be below me. Can I get one more block? Blob? There we go. Alright. I'm sure if I looked at my shelf behind me, I probably have somebody. If we don't make it, it's not a big deal. There's no detriment to anybody. Unfortunately, there's no points. It's kind of like improv games. We were joking earlier about whose lines it anyways. And the names are made up, but the points don't matter, right? These ones, hopefully the names aren't made up. But it doesn't cost points for you guys because I haven't figured out a way to give you points for it yet. Now, I know there are plenty of streams that have their own custom point set. I know how I can do that with my bot. I'm using StreamerBot, in case you guys are curious, so streamer.bot. But although I could put in a custom point system, I haven't really got enough game things figured out in a way at how it could actually award points to make it worth putting in a secondary point scheme. And other than the watching ability, I don't think there's a way in Twitch to forcefully reward points. I mean, one can wager. So we do have wagers on, we can do a prediction on if I was to toss up to 5 chicken eggs in Minecraft, would we get a chicken out of that? So we can always run those, but other than games like that, I don't think I have another way of awarding extra points. So yeah, if I ever got a pool of things that people wanted to do that would actually get points, then I might do that. I tried to look at how to turn Geek Out into a more online, like the offline game type of system. I just didn't find one that I enjoyed. Like, as in, it was getting complex and I wasn't happy with the way it was turning out. It felt really forced, so let's just let people have fun and use it for conversation purposes. There you go, Robbins. And Anne Rice. There you go. See, so we've hit 4, which means anybody who wants to can type !geek out, all one word, and we will get a new topic. Oh, really? Come on. The guy was hiding on a ledge underneath me somewhere. I was not originally intending to run long, I just ended up being in the middle of the explanation for Geek Out. So what I'm actually going to do is pick these up for tonight. We can fill some more holes tomorrow. And let's see if we can find ourselves a wonderful person to raid to. Because I'm betting the owl is well and truly live, and I did not get my screen pop up today to let me know. So, what we're going to do is, you can see I have a lot more to fill in before I'm happy with this level. So we'll get back to that tomorrow during the first stream of the day, which will be for me. This is in Mountain Time, so you're going to see it's say 10 a.m. and it's actually noon Eastern. So I will be back. We'll be leveling out some more. Otherwise, yeah, let's get this raid started over to Huge Stormy Owl. Maybe. Apparently, my raid thing doesn't like me today. That's okay. Oh, nope. It's not that. Raid Umbrella. There we go. So we're going to head our way over to Huge Stormy Owl today. Looks like they're having a lot of fun. Yay, I'm glad! And thank you very, very much for joining us, Toshi. I'm very pleased to meet you. And if you don't want to be called that, please do let me know. So we will start the raid, and then I will be willing to say my thanks to everybody. So a very special thank you to Skyfire for bringing their crew over. I really do appreciate that. Thank you for bringing all your friends. And thank you to Toshi for the new follow. Also to Fantastic Sherlock Fox, Henry Ford, James Curry, and Owl Poppins for spending their clues today, helping us all get a clue. And thank you to Fantastic Sherlock Fox and Tis for Truth for being our moderator today. Apparently Huge Stormy Owl is listed as subscriber twice. Lucky them. And Skyfire twice as well. Not quite sure what glitched there. But also thank you to James Curry, Owl Poppins, Complete Noah, I know you have a new name, forgot about that. Henry Ford, Toshi Beanie, and Jilliana22. So thank you everybody that came by. I'm looking forward to seeing you guys again. You really made my day. Thank you so much, and have yourselves a fantastic evening. Bye-bye for now.